It was just another crater leveled out deep in the alveolate heartland. There, people settled, one by one and two by two, cleared the land of stones, using them to line the edges of their agrarian fields, tilled the newly turned terrain, planted crops and apple trees, begot daughters and sons, and little else. They did not build stairways to scrape the footpaths of the heavens, and instead yielded communities. Many a hollow had been settled over time, and each village had its own story, and each story had its own little scintillating secret. The reverberant chamber, amphitheater-like in its scope, of Il Ciello Della Terra, meaning heaven of the earth, held the arcane truths of Keerthana. Her name translated into a song in praise of God. She was a musician, a creator of sound, which transported from a vibrating natural vine medium, pulsing rapidly and moving with compression, to rarefaction, to the ear. When she performed, she presented with the instrument of transmission she had created herself, with a neck cut from the wood of the Osage orange thorny tree, the carved-out bowl of a Lagenaria siceraria, or a bushel basket gourd, and the strong vines of the green grapes used for making white juice, interwoven to a fine, tight twine, and strung from the top of the neckwood to the bottom face or sounding board of the gourd, which acted as a resonating chamber. The instrument was polished and smoothed out 10,000 times using simple sweat and oils, cream from the stalk and the silk poking out from beneath a maize husk, and fine powder from rich brown refined dirt, all with the hands used throughout her day labor in the cornfields. One evening, as she was sending out her musical epistle, as she had for many fingers of full moons, a raindrop fell to the crater floor, sat displayed in absorption, and soon proceeded to evaporate. It slowly reformed, levitated, and drifted to another village in the honeycombed land, and fell there to the earth. It carried with it the senses and the sounds of the Keerthana musical narrative, and enticed other crater bowl peoples to wonder. They became curious as to the nature of these Wednesday evening sundown musical fabled presentations. Many gathered themselves and their loved ones together to make the pilgrimage to Il Ciello Della Terra and find the source of these storied sound vibrations. They left sometimes weeks in advance to arrive in time to sit with the sun as it sat on the horizon shelf and listen. A social anthropologist of some renown, Margaret Eclair de Mier, of the land of Alicia, had heard of this Orphic musician and decided it might be important to document and to understand this person, this process, this cultural anomaly, and so decided to travel across the ocean of grace to find Keerthana and her homeland of Il Ciello Della Terra, and to discover, contemplate, and question. Margaret arrived at the alveolate heartland and quietly descended into the bowl and observed and took notes as she walked the pathways of the crater village. She finally made her way to the hut of Keerthana and stood by the entranceway with patience and due respect. At the time that sunset approached, Keerthana emerged and took her place before the crowd to begin her concert. As the event began, all shuffling stopped, and listeners were transfixed and transported to the mystic islands within their souls. Some showed outward signs of being moved with tears. All found more and more compassion and humility hidden in their hearts. During the moments following the concert's conclusion, no one spoke. The silence was all that was needed, as the guests dispersed after the final strains of sound dissipated into the ethereal realms. After an appropriate breath of reverence for what the wind carried, the decaying and disseminating mutations of vibration, Margaret, with bowed head, approached Keerthana with many questions. Keerthana acknowledged each query and nodded yes, or no, or maybe, or I don't know, all up and down the spectrum of antiphon-like responses. Then came the final inquiry, which had been sitting patiently on the front porch swing of Margaret's mind. I have traveled the limited verse to view disparate partitions of world enlightenment, and have heard musicians in all cultures and places, both complicated and simple, and everything in between. All musicians play many notes using an infinite array of pitches. Why is it that you only play one note? Because, Keerthana spoke softly, they are all still searching for the note. I have found it.